just firstly, and we've talked about this before when it does come to the VR2, but, I would have to push, because you were suggesting that it's not the be all and end all for Sony, just to catch everyone up who's watching. But when you've got potentially the Meta Quest now getting access to China markets in terms of Tencent, have Sony done the wrong thing in keeping it stuck to their Sony platform and their Sony products and not opening it up to everybody?
I personally think so, largely because I think as with most things in gaming, it's all about the audience. It's about maximizing the penetration, adoption. And when you tie a new platform like this, which is really what it is, to another platform, then in some senses, clearly the first platform takes dominance. Now, I'm not saying that Sony won't succeed in this, but I think it basically emphasizes that success with the PlayStation 5 is the essential prerequisite for success with PlayStation VR2. Now, of course, the flip side, though, is that because PlayStation 5 itself has been successful, that perhaps it gives a springboard to accelerate the adoption of this device. But I think the future of VR, if it is to be really, really mainstream, has to be on its own terms, to be a standalone device that's accessible and usable by a mass audience rather than just a gamer audience.
Now, just in terms of Sony, because obviously you're requisitely bullish on Sony, you've still got around about a 13,000 yen price target. But in terms of, I suppose, the growth outlook and the direction that the company is taking, we just talked about the fact that the VR2 is stuck to the PS5 device. Do you foresee any further hardware releases coming through from Sony, in terms of more functionality with the VR device? Is that something that they're looking at?
All we have is a pattern with the past. I mean, we saw with PlayStation VR that, they actually, I think, did pretty well in building an ecosystem and games and so on. Although it's fair to say that I don't think they iterated the hardware as fast as, some would have expected or would have liked. It is possible, especially now with the current platform, that they will have a faster rate iteration. I, for instance, envisage they could, for instance, improve the controller. But I think the core of it, first of all, is to get game publishers, developers on board with some of the features of the current PlayStation VR 2, including, for instance, the ability to, for instance, have better tracking, the ability, for instance, to have better rendering inside the field of view. And something higher resolution itself, I think, would be a big, I would say, a big differentiator at this point to bring, I think, a better sense of presence into the games. Now, I think one thing just to highlight here is that Sony, of course, has launched its own games to emphasize the value of this product. And then we'll just have to wait to see whether or not other developers will sign on to develop games specifically for this platform that will make it stand out from say, Meta's product.